What is Christian stewardship? It is the free and joyous activity of the child of God and God's family, the church, in managing all of life and life's resources for God's purposes. What are stewards to do? Care for what is entrusted to them. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 2 tells us, "Now it is required that those who have been given a trust must prove faithful." This is a command to each of us. How does giving fit in? When we care for our church, maintain it, cover the needs of our staff, we are obeying God's command to be caring of His material gifts so our spiritual needs can be met. The Scripture shares many examples of God's providing all that we need for life and worship. In Exodus 25, Moses directed the Israelites in the desert to provide for the building of the tabernacle. God also provided the skilled workers to make all that God required. Acts chapter 17 also mentions that God places us where He wants us, so that people would know God. God provides through His people. Look at the beginnings of Peace Lutheran Church. Small groups of German immigrant believers came to McLeod County. Soon there were enough families in the area that a call was sent to Germany for a pastor. What faith they had that God would provide. Pastor Brown answered the call. There was little cash to pay him, but they wanted so much to be led by a pastor that the congregation gave him what they had. Many times he was paid in meat, eggs, and produce so that God's work could be done here. 125 years ago, Pastor Brown felt that there were enough people to start a church here in the village of Hutchinson. Our first members wanted to worship at a church building. A white clapboard building soon rose on the corner of 4th and Franklin, where the east end of our education building stands. Each family gave sacrificially to pay for the church. A basket was passed for the building fund every Sunday, with most monies gathered before the building began. No money was taken from the regular offering for the building. How much did it cost for lumber and the interior? Past histories say about $7,000. At that time, an estimated acre of farmland was worth $100 to $150. Pictures of the church under construction show the names of the church members working on the building. These members were donating their time and energy to build. And today, the church thinks of stewardship in the same way, not just money, but time and abilities. Again, there was a sacrifice to build a school building, the Little School, as it was called by the children, fittingly near where our present education building now stands. In a few years, when an addition was needed, the west end of the church was enlarged, adding a chancel and altar area. Families gave what they could. For many families, a sacrifice was made to pay for this church addition. Pastor W.J. Schultze was called in 1921, and the church was overflowing with people. In 1925, Pastor Schultze presented to the congregation a vision of our present sanctuary. The building committee estimated that the cost would be about $90,000 to $100,000, including a loan of $25,000. A huge sum for those days. Did the congregation say no? They dug down deeper and worked hard to pay off the loan. At this time, records show that some families even took out loans at their banks to pay their commitment. Now that's giving from the heart. Their love of God guided them in sacrificial stewardship to build as beautiful a worship place as they could. When you look at our painted glass windows, the pews, the beautifully carved altar and pulpit, think of the loans, the many ham and turkey dinners that the church ladies put on to pay for them, and then consider the incomes of those folks back in the late 1920s and early 1930s. The education building was added in 1954 when Pastor Kirsch ministered here, and in 1982, Pastor Lauer guided us to add the Peace Center and an access area. All the while, the staff and church programs were cared for by the grace of God and the good stewardship of the Peace members. Today, we too are encouraged to give a portion of our blessings to pay for our facilities and ministries, passing along our mission of spreading the love and grace of Jesus Christ. Over these 125 years, the members of Peace also donated several million hours of their time to bring the gospel to our children, people, and community, teaching Sunday school, working on committees, maintaining the property, and in many other ways. As we admire the zeal of our members over the years, it may make us wonder, how do we look at our individual stewardship at Peace Lutheran Church today and in the future?